Susanna has asked me to talk about 3 important benefits of community and users in an open source project. Um, there aren't just 3, there are tons. The end users in the community for open source is the open source project. For instance, I got started on Elgg as just a user. I had a job and they were looking to implement a social network, and they had heard of Elgg, and so we started using Elgg, and I started contributing back, and then eventually I'm here leading development for it. This is how open source works. It's an organic community that is continually changing and improving itself and pulling new people in, and it feeds off the energy of the other members in the community. As far as end users, where they really fall into this, end users are the checks and balances for what the developers are. I'm guilty of this. I'll get really into something and I'll start coding it and I'm like, oh, this is going to be awesome. And then an end user, a non-developer, sees it and thinks, wow, this doesn't make any sense. I'm like, oh yeah, but you can do all this techno mumble jumbo neat stuff, and they don't care. They just want to click on the blog post and it opens up in a window or something. They don't care that it's doing server callbacks and Ajax stuff and jQuery UI positioning. No, they don't care. They just want to see the blog post. So we have to balance. We have to have this balance between the developer functionality and end user functionality. And the end users are the group who tell us, yes, this works. No, this doesn't work. To some of the same extent, non-core developers, members of the community who are developing on Elgg but aren't contributing immediately to the project, so third-party plugin authors, they do the same thing for our framework and our API. They tell us, okay, well, it's awesome that you can add menus, but I want to remove menus now. So we work with the entire community. Each type of person in the community brings a different set of benefits to the project, and so we're working to solicit that feedback more easily and better. I mentioned before the Elgg Foundation is hopefully going to take care of a good chunk of this by giving these users an official voice and an official means to say, hey, this works, or hey, this doesn't work. That's kind of one huge benefit. We could chop that up into smaller benefits, but really, open source is its users. If there's no open source community around a project, the project will wither and disappear. Likewise, if there are no users around it, why are we building it? So we have to have this balance of users and developers within the project, and Elgg is starting to come into that very good. We're having more contributors for third-party plugins. We're having more contributors to fix core problems, and we're having more feedback from end users. It's traditionally been kind of like pulling teeth to get end users to say what's working and what's not. So those are, I don't know if you can count that as one benefit, but that is the benefit. You can't have an open source project without the community. So I hope that answers your question. Thanks.